penelitian terapan unggulan perguruan tinggi.
Halo, Assalamualaikum, saya Nikita Tosida dari Universitas Pakuan. Saya adalah Kepala Pusat Pengabdian Masyarakat di Universitas Pakuan. Dan saya di bawah LPPM, Lembaga Penelitian dan Pengabdian Masyarakat Universitas Pakuan. Kami sudah bekerja sama dengan Universitas Narotama sudah sangat lama, tetapi MOU baru tahun lalu dan kami sudah mengimplementasikan banyak hal, terutama di pengabdian masyarakat. Dan kami juga sudah mengimplementasikan untuk membuat Computer Science Training Center dan Data Science Center yang insya Allah akan berlanjut dengan penelitian dan pengabdian bekerja sama dengan Universitas Narotama, terutama dalam pengembangan desa cerdas yang akan diintegrasikan dengan e-desa yang sudah dikembangkan oleh Narotama. Mudah-mudahan apa yang kita gagas dapat berlanjut terus dan mudah-mudahan ini terus bisa meningkatkan kerjasama ini ke level nasional dan ke level internasional.
Di hari keempat, tim peneliti melanjutkan perjalanan menuju Universitas Pajajaran.
IORA ini adalah merupakan satu asosiasi para pakar dalam bidang operation research, pemangku kepentingan dalam operation research dan juga orang-orang yang tertarik atau praktisi dalam bidang operation research. Malam hari ini salah satu universitas yaitu Universitas Narotama sudah melakukan MOU dengan IORA dalam bidang riset, dalam bidang publikasi dan juga dalam bidang pengabdian pada masyarakat. Dan pada hari ini merupakan salah satu action, salah satu implementasi dari kerjasama antara IORA dengan Universitas Narotama, yaitu kaitan dengan program pemerintah, program Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan dan Riset, yaitu program Kampus Merdeka Belajar atau sekarang disebutkan dengan Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka.
Mudah-mudahan dengan adanya IORA maupun IndoMS ini bisa dijadikan sebagai wahana untuk saling bertemu, saling diskusi, silaturahmi dan membangun suatu kerjasama bidang pendidikan, ya, penelitian maupun pengabdian pada masyarakat. Ya. Mudah-mudahan IORA juga maupun IndoMS semakin maju, ya, dan bisa menumbuhkan suatu kegiatan-kegiatan yang memang berguna bagi bangsa dan negara yang Indonesia yang kita cintai.
Diharapkan workshop kerjasama pengembangan produk riset ini bisa berjalan dengan baik dan dapat dikembangkan lebih lanjut.
Kesatuan Foundation, as it is known today, is started from humble beginning with the establishment of an elementary school in 1926. Our main focus today is on education for everybody willing to study from kindergarten to higher education.
Kesatuan Foundation is committed to participate in improving education to meet the present and future challenge in Indonesia, in our neighboring countries, and the world.
SE Kesatuan always strive to convince the community that the existence of SE Kesatuan is intended to provide a bridge for the community to gain a better life.
International Conference on Global Optimization and its Applications is commencing. Our highest appreciation and gratitude for the presence of the Chairman of the 10th International Conference on Global Optimization and its Applications, Mr. Bambang Hengki Rainanto, SPI MM from Institut Bisnis dan Informatika Kesatuan. The President of Indonesian Operations Research Association, IORA, Profesor Haji Sudrajat Supian, MSc, PhD from Universitas Padjadjaran. Rektor of Institut Bisnis dan Informatika Kesatuan, Profesor Dr. Haji Murmahadi Suryaja Negara, SEMM, AK, CA, CPA, Asian CPA, CSFA. The entire presenters and participants from Republic of Indonesia, Malaysia, Japan, Australia, and the Netherlands. Ladies and gentlemen, in honoring Republic of Indonesia, for this opening ceremony, please rise and stand up. The national anthem Indonesia Raya will shortly be played.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start this event, we pray according to our respective religions. Let me lead the prayer using the Islamic ways. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Hamdan syakirin, hamdan na'imin, hamdan yuwafi ni'amahu wa yukafi mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wasikal karim wa azimi sultanik. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma inna nas'aluka salamatan fid din wa afiatan fil jasad wa ziyadatan fil ilmi wa barakatan fil rizki wa taubatan qoblal maut wa rahmatan indal maut wa magfiratan ba'dal maut. Allahumma hawin alaina fi syakaratil maut wa najata minan nar wal afwa indal hisab. Allahumma arinal haqqa haqqa warzuqna ittiba'ah wa arinal batila batila warzuqna ijtinabah. Rabbana la tuzigh qulubana ba'da idh hadaitana wa hab lana min ladunka rahmah innaka antal wahhab. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wassalamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Bambang Hengki Rainanto, SPIMM, as the chairman of the 10th International Conference on Global Optimization and its application to give the first opening speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everybody. Selamat pagi. Salam sejahtera untuk bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much to the God because we are still given grace, guidance, and help so that we can still gather today in the international conference of the 10th IORA ICoGOIA 2021. On behalf of the committee of the ICoGOIA 2021, I give high appreciation to all researchers, lecturers, and professionals who are made positive contribution in accordance with their respective scientific fields, which is our main theme at today's conference, with namely the role of multidisciplinary science in decision-making for sustainable development. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who generously help us make this event success. In today's international conference, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude to the several parties who are help make this event a success. The first is from Professor Dr. Murmahadi Surya Jayanegara, our rector, Institut Bisnis, dan Informatika Kesatuan. And second is Dr. Bima Arya Sugiarto as our mayor of Bogor City. Professor Sudrajat Sofian from Pajajaran University is our president, ICoGOIA. Professor Sukono from Pajajaran University. Ibu Diah Hairani from Mathematics Department, Pajajaran University. Professor Dr. Iwao Kato from Wako University, Tokyo, Japan. Dr. Jonathan van Mil from Avans University, Breda, Netherlands. Professor Muhammad Safi Antonio from Taskia Institute, Indonesia. Associate Professor Dr. Zulkifli Moh Noviah from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Also for Mrs. Saruni Dimitri, thank you very much. Attend here, our partner here, Head of Sekolah Tinggi Pariwisata Bogor. Dr. Mumu, thank you very much as a secretary. And all the authors and presenters, invited guests that I cannot mention one by one, and the entire committee who are worked until the event can take place. As a chairman, I would like to report that today's international conference was attended by representatives from at least 7 countries. Besides Indonesia, there are Malaysia, Japan, Netherlands, China, Vietnam, and Morocco. The number of papers received by the committee until today was 247 papers. This is the number papers has become a new history since the establishment of ICoGOIA from 10 years ago. We all hope that in the coming years, the ICoGOIA International Conference will increasingly recognized and welcomed by researchers from all over the world. Finally, I would like to welcome you to the International Conference, the 10th IORA ICoGOIA 2021. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Haji Sudrajat Sofian, MSc PhD, as the President of Indonesian Operations Research Association, IORA, to give the second speech.
Okay, thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The Honorable Mayor of Bogor City, Dr. Bima Arya, the Rector of the Institut Bisnis dan Informatika Kesatuan, Bogor, Head of Bogor Tourism Academy, Vice Rector in IBIC, the Deans in IBIX Bogor, Honorable IORA founders and personalities, the first Professor Hadi Sutanto from Atmajaya University, Professor Suwarto from Pakuan University, Professor Tony Bahtiar from APB, Dr. Diah Hairani from Pajajaran University, Professor Sukono from Pajajaran University, Pramono CD, PhD from Universitas Terbuka, and Professor Herman Mowengkang from USU. The Honorable Keynote Speaker, Professor Murmahadi Surya Janagara, Rector of IBIK Bogor, Dr. Bima Arya, Major of Bogor City, Dr. Dia Herani from Department of Mathematics, Faculty Mathematics and Natural Sciences, Universitas Pajajaran. The Honorable Plenary Speaker, Professor Muhammad Sapi Antonio from Takya Institute, Indonesia, Professor Iwao Kato from Wako University, Japan, Dr. Jonathan Van Mil from Avan University, Netherlands, Associate Professor Zulkifli Novia from UKM, Malaysia, the Honorable Mr. Talib bin Bon as Permanent Chief Executive of ICoGOIA in Malaysia, and IORA ICoGOIA 2020 Conference Committee and Conference Participant. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. All praises and thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the God of universe, because of His blessing and mercy, we are able to gather in this comfortable place in good health and condition. It is great pleasure for me, on behalf of the Indonesian Operation Research Association, or IORA, I would like to welcome to all at this special event. International Conference on Global Optimization and its Application. This event is the 10th event for IORA ICoGOIA, and congratulations to the Institut Bisnis dan Informatika Kesatuan Bogor and Tourism Academic Bogor for being able to host, and also thank to the Mayor of the Bogor City for your support. The theme of the conference, the role of multidisciplinary science in decision-making for sustainable development. This is a good theme, and we can direct implementation for development country, and special for Bogor City. Reflects our belief that many future challenges in our life need development of operation research and typical analytical operation research. Operation research as science discipline is rapidly growing and showing its importance is solve problem and reach important goal in our communities. The interaction of operation research with other fields has finite new area that increase in capabilities. The conference is held with two activities. The first, workshop, writing and publishing scientific paper on November 20, 2021. And today, this is a conference ICoGOIA, or Indonesian Operation Research Association International Conference on Global Optimization and its Application. I'm aware that this conference would not be possible without hard work of organizing committees as well as other parties. Therefore, I would like to thank the organizing committee members who have dedicated so much time and effort to successfully run this event. My gratitude also goes to all outstanding speakers as well as all collaborating parties. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very thankful to the Mayor of Bogor City, Bapak Dr. Bima Arya, who has provided support at this conference and hope IORA can help in the development of the city of Bogor. Also, to the Rector of the Institut Bisnis dan Informatika Kesatuan Bogor, who has agreed to host the 10th IORA ICoGOIA conference. And I hope the output target of this conference are international proceeding indexes by Scopus and reputable international regular journal. Ladies and gentlemen, by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I officially open IORA ICoGOIA 2020. Thank you very much. Greeting healthy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Haji Sudrajat Supian to sound the traditional gong musical instrument as a symbolic marking in opening the 10th International Conference on Global Optimization and its Application. Ladies and gentlemen, the Conference on Global Optimization and its Application is now officially commencing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now entering keynote speaker session. Please welcome Professor Dr. Haji Murmahadi Suryajanegara SEMM AKCA CPA Asian CPA CSFA in presenting the first session.
Distinguished Dr. Bima Arya Sugiarto, MA, the Mayor of Bogor, Distinguished Professor Haji Sudrajat Supian, MSc PhD, President of IORA, Distinguished Professor Dr. Sukono, Chairman of Research Collaboration Community, respected speaker, participant, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi dan salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. It is an honor for me to be here speaking at the 10th ICoGOIA 2021 with the theme, the role of multidisciplinary science in decision making for sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, pandemic COVID-19 has real, significant, and catastrophic impact on most of the aspects of our life, not only for health and well-being, but also for economies, social cohesion, education, and more. The global extreme poverty rate rose for the first time since 1998, with an additional 124 million people were pushed back into poverty in 2020. An equivalent of 255 million full-time jobs were lost, and the number of people suffering from hunger may have increased by 132 million. The impact of schooling is a generation catastrophe, with the additional 101 million children and Youth went below the minimum reading skill level, wiping out the education gains achieved over the last 2 decades. Tourism is suffering. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, estimate that the number of international tourists will drop by 60% this year, reducing tourism contribution to global gross domestic product, GDP, and affecting countries where it is a substantial part of the national economy. We don't know yet when it is come to an end. However, one thing we sure is that we must move on, even though we need to live side by side with the COVID-19 for a certain period of time in near future. Achieving sustainable recovery from COVID-19 pandemic, it is not only the obligation of someone dealing with the health and economy, it is our obligation, all of us, coming from multidisciplinary background. Each of us must contribute to find some new ways bringing us to more sustainable development after the pandemic. Back in 2015, the United Nations adopted 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, to improve people lives and the natural world by 2030. It was arguably one of the humanity's best moments. The whole planet signed up. However, before pandemic, we are far from reaching the 17 goals. Progress across the SDGs was slow even before COVID-19. We continue to exploit the seas and the earth, destroy forests and the natural environment, to tolerate inequalities and discrimination, and to produce CO2 as if all these actions have no impact on the health of humans and other living things. Now, it is even more likely that many of the 169 targets will not be reached by 2030. As we know, many mistakes were made in the response to the pandemic. Governments were confronted with rapidly developing crises, but there was little agreement on how and when to respond. Different countries progressed at various rates. Most governments realized that something needed to be done to safeguard those who were most vulnerable. Government adopted a wide range of measures, including rent freeze, business and job support scheme, direct cash transfer, and a range of economic stimulus. However, as post-COVID-19 recovery plan rise, it is time to make the mantra of building back better a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, there is always a rainbow after the rain. The COVID-19 pandemic is transforming how we think about our economies, our education, and our societies. Policies that governments and we make today will determine our success in building a transition to a green, more inclusive and more resilient future. It is an opportunity to set a course empowering everyone to face the future with confidence. Efforts to confront the pandemic have shown immense community resilience. Action from government, a rapid expansion of social protection, an acceleration of digital transformation, and unique collaboration to develop life-saving vaccine and treatment in record time. These are solid foundations to build on to accelerate progress on the SDGs. Looking ahead, there are grounds for believing that many economies will recover rapidly. In its 2021 World Economic Outlook, the IMF projects 6% growth in the global economy in 2021, reducing only to 4.4% in 2022. However, these figures conceal marked variation between and within countries, and IMF cautioned that there is still considerable global economic uncertainty. This suggests the potential for a new variant of the virus to emerge. The extent to which policy responses during the pandemic enable businesses to bounce back, and the willingness of individuals with saving to spend them. Other uncertainties include investment sentiment, particularly in relation to bond market and the risk of inflation. Lessons learned from the pandemic will help us rise to current and future challenges. In terms business, building strategy, resilience is the key factor. To meet the challenges posed by the pandemic, businesses around the world had to react in better ways. As we move into the next phase, now is the time for businesses to seek out and seize the opportunities emerging in the recovery. Businesses that take this step now will be well placed to capitalize more effectively on the opportunities rising the post-COVID-19 recovery, and to continue winning their marketplace as a greater certainty and stability return. PricewaterhouseCoopers Global Crisis Survey 2021 identifies 3 key lessons that businesses can adopt for long-term resilience. First, design a crisis response team with an integrated resilience program for the next inevitable disruption. Second, break down silo between resilient competencies and teams and integrate them to coordinate the tactics, tools, and technologies needed for an effective crisis response. Lastly, build organizational resilience by establishing high-level resilient governance, revisiting and rethinking your crisis management structure and response strategy, and fostering a culture of resilience. McKinsey Global Institute in 2021 report suggests that the pandemic accelerated existing trends in remote work, e-commerce, and automation, with up 25% more workers than previously estimated potentially needing to switch occupation. Jobs with the highest physical proximity are likely to be most disrupted. Remote work and virtual meetings are likely to continue, although less intensely than at the pandemic peak. COVID-19 propelled faster adoption of automation and artificial intelligence. workers need to reskill, particularly in digital, and as many as 25% more workers may need to switch occupation than before the pandemic. Tourism is one of the hardest hit sector by the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2020, international arrival dropped by 74% given the widespread spread of travel restriction and socio-economic challenges, representing an estimate loss of US $1.3 trillion in export revenue and around 120 million direct jobs at risk. UNWTO makes a recommendation for a recovery of the tourism sector from the COVID-19 crisis to be founded on sustainability, calling for the transformation of the tourism sector to ensure its future resilience, which represent several key elements capable of guiding a responsible tourism recovery for people, planet prosperity, namely public health, social inclusion, biodiversity conservation, climate action, circular economy, and governance and finance. In relation to IT, COVID-19 has pushed companies over the technology tipping point and transform business. A new survey suggests that responses to pandemic have speed the adoption of digital technology by several years, affecting raw material supply, disrupting the 5 electronic value chain, and acceleration of remote working. There is also a shifting landscape across a number of areas, including hardware, software, IT service, semiconductor, and network equipment. To stay competitive in the business after pandemic requires new strategy. During the pandemic, consumers have moved dramatically toward online channels, and companies and industries have responded in turn. The pandemic has accelerated the digitization of customer interaction. Technology strategy important. We build a critical component, not just as a source of cost efficiency. Successful responses to the crisis include filling gaps for technology talent during the crisis, the use of more advanced technologies, and speed in experimenting and innovating. Ladies and gentlemen, in this academic conference, I wish to encourage sharing and discussion among academics and practitioners coming from multidisciplinary background to find solutions to speed up substantial sustainable recovery from COVID-19 pandemic for better Indonesia and for better global community. With the spirit of togetherness and collaboration, we hope that we can show our resilience to uncertainty after pandemic, and we can continue to be part of the solution. Thank you for your attention and support. Wabillahi taufiq walhidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, before moving into the next keynote speaker, please take a moment in following the signing of Memorandum of Understanding Please step forward on stage, Mr. Bambang Hengki Rainanto, SPI MM, as the Chairman of International Conference on Global Optimization and its Application, Professor Haji Sudrajat Supian, MSc, PhD, as the President of Indonesian Operations Research Association, IORA, Mrs. Runi Dinitri, SKM, MPAR, as the Head of Sekolah Tinggi Pariwisata Bogor. Thank you for the honorable parties involved in the process of signing of Memorandum of Understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Dia Hairani, Vice President of Indonesian Operations Research Association, IORA, in presenting the second session.
Thank you very much, Mr. MC. Let me try to set up first the background. Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Let me share my slide first. Oke, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me for this very fruitful event. Also, thank you very much for the rector of IBIC and also the president of IORA. And this morning, I would like to share with you some of thought about how the operational research and optimization modeling, or OROM, can help the decision making for sustainable development problem during COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm Dia Hairani from Department of Mathematics, Universitas Pajajaran. This is my outline of my talk. I would like to talk first about what is the operational research in the overview as the science of better. And then secondly, I would like to share with you also about the operational research for sustainability development and also the condition of OR in Indonesia. And then the third part, I would like to speak about what is the role of operational research within SDGs during COVID-19 pandemic. And perhaps in this first session, I would like to share with you what is operation research all about actually. And then this is just a summarize because I would like to give you an overview. Operation research is decision making in resource allocation problem. For instance, if you have some problem with the space of the parking problem or a queuing problem, you can try to think how we can manage this kind of problem. So we have resource, a kind of a space of land, for instance, or some services valley, and then we would like to try to find the optimal solution. What number of the cars, for instance, to be parked in such a space, or in the queuing problem, yeah. So what is the service time, and then how many belly we have to open, for instance, something like that. And then the second kind of example, yeah, this is a kind of also the operation research problem. Decision making and resource allocation problem, for instance, in network analysis problem, or optimal placement cargo. So we can try to think actually how we can manage the whole project within a limitation of the time, also the resources. And the definition of the operation research itself, I took it from the book of Hiller and Lieberman. It is mentioned that the operation research is applied to problems that concern how to conduct and coordinate the operation, such as activities within an organization. The nature of the organization is essentially immaterial, and in fact, the operational research has been applied extensively in such diverse areas, such as manufacture, transportation, construction, telecommunication, financial planning, healthcare, the military, and other public services. And then to be more precise, the approach itself, we can see in the flow chart. First of all, we have to define the problem, and then we think about the mathematical modeling, and then what is the procedure development based, computer based, and then we are moving forward to the validation phase, and then we can see if the validation is valid, then we can go on with application and implementation. If not, we need to define the problem again. And the informs the organization for the operation research and management science give a definition that the OR is a discipline that deals with the application of advanced analytical method to help make a better decision. And also it is mentioned that the OR will give you an optimal solution or near optimal solution to the complex decision-making problem. And the uniqueness of the OR, especially the key, is that we are using mathematical modeling, statistical analysis, and also mathematical optimization. And we can see in here, we have to know also about the relation about the operation research and optimization modeling. Refer to Rao 2009 in the book of Optimization Engineering for the Theory and Application. It is mentioned that to solve operational research problem, we need optimization technique or mathematical programming in this classification of the optimization technique, such that calculus method, calculus variation, nonlinear programming, geometric programming, quadratic, linear and nonlinear programming, dynamic, stochastic programming, separable programming, multi-objective network methods such as critical path method and PERT, CPM, yeah, the game theory, and then we need also statistical process techniques in this to solve the operational problem. We need a statistical decision theory, Markov process, queuing theory, renewal theory, simulation method, reliability theory, statistical method such as the regression analysis, cluster analysis, design of experiment, and also the discriminate analysis. But furthermore, due to the recent application or development in operation research and optimization modeling, we also know now a class of modern or non-traditional optimization technique such as genetic algorithm, simulated annealing and colony, part swarm analytic neural network, and fuzzy optimization. Now, these all the technique to be used in operational research. And then we need also to know the taxonomy of the optimization modeling. So then we have many kind of techniques to solve the problem. This is the optimization problem. We can make the classification become three classification. The first one is uncertainty problem, deterministic, and also the multi-objective optimization. For the uncertain optimization, we know about the stochastic programming and robust optimization. And then for the deterministic, there are some classification within the continuous and the discrete optimization. For the continuous, we can see in here, we have also to classify the problem as an unconstrained problem and the constrained problem. And for the discrete problem, we can see in here, we have integer programming and combinatorial optimization. And then for the unconstrained, there are many methods also in here. So actually we need to know how to use this method due to the classification of the problem itself. So this is the nonlinearly squared, nonlinear equation, non-differentiable optimization, and also global optimization. And nonlinear programming, we also consider in the constraint problem, the network optimization, bound constraint, and linear constraint. As you can see on the slide, that the nonlinear programming, it's separated, become semi-definite programming, semi-infinite programming, mathematical program with equilibrium constraint, and mixed integer nonlinear programming. For the bound constraint, we see in here derivative-free optimization without derivation. And for the linear constraint, we have quadratic programming and linear programming. And if we have to work with a matrix space, so then we have to deal with this second order con or quadratically constrained con programming. And as I would like to give a motivation also to use the operational research to solve various problems. So this is some of application of operational research due to the problem of allocation and resource problem. I took it from the Hilary Berman book. So this is many companies is already use the operational research, and as we can see in here, they can make an annual saving. It's a quite large number of million in here. Yeah. Due to this background, so I would like to see what we can do with the sustainable development goals. What is the role of operational research and optimization modeling to handle or to help the SDGs problem. So first, I would like to take you to see the database searching for bibliometric analysis for the keywords operation research SDGs problem, developing countries, Indonesia, and also the recent problem of the COVID-19. We try to search the recent research using three databases. We use Scopus, ScienDirect, and Sage. And as you can see in here, we try to limit our database searching using the year from 2017 to 2021, using English and all the subject area. We try to find the title, keyword, and abstract, and then we also see the research article, conference paper, and review articles. And we see also the journal and proceeding to this database. And this is the result. Yeah, we can see that due to this keywords, we see that we have really related to the sustainability development for OR, and also we see that in developing country, OR play the role also, and also in Indonesia. And to the keywords COVID, we see the number of paper significantly increase. And we would like to see also, we try to make a R bibliometric using R software to see the annual scientific projection. So during this 3 years or 2 years from 2019 to 2021, we see the annual scientific production paper is increasing a lot. And this is going down because we have to see the end of this year. And then we can see in here also, yeah, the trivial plot. We would like to see the relation between the country and then the keywords and also the popular title. We can see in here sustainable development appears several times, and also we see in here supply chain management become one of the keywords. And then this is the challenge, the environment, logistic, and etc. So from this trivial plot, we see also the co-occurrence network, so as that this sustainable development goals, sustainable development, and sustainability become the keywords to do the research on operation research. And here, the thematic map, we can say that from this thematic map, we can see that this is the density, and then this is the centrality. So to the right, the trend of the topic become more citation, and then the citation, it means that this is more strong to be researched, yeah. And if we see in this thematic map, so the keyword of sustainable supply chains, sustainability, and then blockchains and other words is really interesting to be one of key for our research. And what happened for the operation research in Indonesia? We see also from the R bibliometric, we have a lot of articles from Indonesia who do the operation research, as we see in this graphic. And then for Indonesia, we see also many people already do the research using the keywords operation research, capacity building for genetic algorithm, and etc. Like as you can see in this triplot field. And then if we would like to know who is the most productive author, I can see that this is Professor Sukono and Professor Sudajat Supian take the place for this operation research in Indonesia. Congratulations to Professor Sudajat and Professor Sukono. And then I would like also to highlight some recent related publication about the operation research, SDGs, and the COVID-19. We have 3 recent publications in Uncertain Supply Chain Management Journal, and 2 others in Helion. This is to see how we can use the operation reset and also optimization modeling to help make some decision to SDGs and the COVID pandemic period. So I took this construction mind map from our colleague from the Department of Economic Social in Agricultural Faculty Universitas Pajajaran from Patomi. Patomi also present in this conference. So the problem is about the supply chains during pandemic. There are some changes of mind from traditional trade to online trading. So this is become our motivation to try to solve the problem related to the SDGs. So the first, I would like to give some summarize about our recent work about the supply chains during the COVID for the sugar and cooking oil in Bandung, Jawa Barat. We already try to solve, or this is already published also in Uncertain Supply Chains Management. Yeah, we can see how we can manage the supply chains during the COVID pandemic for the case of sugar and cooking oil. And then the second one is that how we design a food supply chain strategy during this COVID-19 using integrated agent-based modeling and robust optimization. The case is in Jawa Barat also. We took the case from Depok City, Bogor, Bekasi, and Bekasi Regency. We try to see what happened with the rice supply network, and then this research already published also in Helion. And the third one also, we try to give a contribution, for making some scenario for handling the impact of COVID-19 based on food supply network through regional food hubs under uncertainty. So we employ the robust optimization and also multi-objective optimization and mixed integer linear programming. So this is the result. So we can give some scenario to handle the rice, eggs, and vegetables in Jawa Barat. The scenario one, what happened if we have totally locked down, and the second scenario, what happened if we have a partial lockdown, and then this one, the situation of the new normal. By the time in 2020, we still have some situation about the PSBB and lockdown. So by the time this is the scenario that we can propose. And the other result that we would like to share, that we also thinking about the changes from the conventional trading to internet shopping online problem. We propose some result on handling the typical internet shopping online problem, which is the typical is if we buy something online, so we have to pay also the delivering cost, and we have also to calculate or minimize the time estimation to get the commodities. And this is also we already published, and thank you to the Ministry of Research and Technology for support this research. And also the other result, we try also to make some robust optimization model using ellipsoidal and polyhedral uncertainty set for spatial land use allocation problem. We can think how we can consider planning land use. Can we change, for instance, the purpose of a land use to be another type of land use, something like that? So then this is one of our talk as the contribution also of operation research and optimization modeling. One of our research is funded by academic leadership from Universitas Pajajaran. And we would like to mention also we have some collaboration with a colleague from Southampton Business School, also with Pak Tommy Perdana. This is also try to solve the SDGs problem number 2 about the disaster management. So I think that's all my talk. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Hopefully you can enjoy my talk, and thank you once again. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Dia Hairani, Vice President of Indonesian Operation Research Association IORA, for the presentation session. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Bima Arya, Mayor of Bogor City, in presenting the next session.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, participants of this conference. I would like to welcome you to the city of Bogor, the city of rain, the city of million parks, a city where we embark in a journey to continuously developing sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 is a test. Despite being a learning experience for all of us, during a pandemic, leaders are tested. During a pandemic, leaders are tested on the ability to overcome problems with extreme difficulty. Not only to save as many human lives as possible, but to win the war against the COVID-19 pandemic. I learned tremendously from this pandemic, realized that the critical skill is the ability of leaders to collaborate with all parties, working together with an open perspective, working together with an open paradigm, working together to solve problems quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like watching science fiction movies, the opening scene is always typical, started with the audience being presented with a scene when scientists are doing some sort of communication with a policymaker, president, governor, or a mayor, for something that threatens life based on the results of research and studies from the scientists. What is unique about these science fiction movies, all these policymakers tend to ignore the initial input and information from the scientists. It was only on later scenes when it was proven that the research and studies were within close proximity to the truth. When little things started to happen as predicted by the scientists, then the policymakers have to believe and start taking necessary steps. Unfortunately, these steps could be fast, but more often than not, the steps were too late. From these science fiction movies, we could draw something very important, that leaders must always respond to all information, especially information submitted by scientists. And secondly, leaders must be able to make decisions quickly and tactically from different perspectives. Not only political perspective, but also other perspectives, such as economic, health, social, and sometimes even from angles that are very far from the knowledge possessed by the leaders, such as epidemiology or psychology. And yes, during this pandemic, I have learned to make informed, quick decisions. At the beginning of the pandemic, I instructed the head of departments under my authority to make projections on how bad the dangers threaten us from the pandemic. When the pandemic will reach peak, in what numbers, and what to be the action plans. Data were then collected from various departments. There was data from epidemiologists, there was data from economists, there was also data from business operators. This data help us to draw conclusions, to make projections on what to be experienced by residents on Bogor City in the worst conditions of this COVID-19 pandemic. Later, the actual situation did resembles the projections, which is the basis for all of us policymakers. I, together with the deputy mayor and the head of departments, to determine the next steps. We conducted surveys, polls, research to find out public perception of COVID-19. We collaborate with university because it is impossible for us to launch a policy that asks residents to follow health protocols with strict sanction if you are unable to read the atmosphere surrounding residents' mental situation at the grassroots level. We will not undertake tough actions while unable to measure what the response would be. At the beginning of the pandemic, we carried out multidisciplinary research with university affiliates. The results of this research then become input for us to launch policies in the field of economic, education, and definitely health. For example, on economic dimension, we wanted to know how much impact of the pandemic had on the residents, how many lost their source of income, from which locations, and from which job, or vice versa. During this pandemic, we wanted to know what opportunities are created in the economy and who could leverage these opportunities. We also wanted to know how many people are affected by hoaxes, the false news related to the COVID-19. Another example is from education dimension, where we must measure when students were asked to study from home, how prepared the students were, how prepared the parents were, and also how prepared the teachers were in providing online educations. And even from this dimension, we were presented with health issues induced by study from home. We learned that there is a high percentage of mothers who experience depressions and hypertensions due to accompanying their children studying online. These are just a few of the examples of how we incorporate a very diverse perspective in launching policies in response to pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, policies that are tactical and collaborative in nature are required not only to overcome pandemics in emergency situations, but also post-pandemic. Collaborative leadership, a leadership with an open paradigm to involve various scientific perspectives, is also required in the post-pandemic period. We must know how our projections are related to the economic, education, and health situation. If this pandemic continues with various variants, or if this pandemic turns into endemic, we must be able to do calculations in the health dimensions about what health-related fields are needed, what medical specialists are needed, and what kind of hospital designs are needed to anticipate various infections, not only coming from COVID, but beyond. We also consider what kind of spatial layout allow us to prevent crowding, a broadened perspective where the disciplines needed are not only economic, not only about health, education, but even urban design and spatial planning, among other things. This convinced me that in the future, collaborative leadership and open paradigm are requirements in not only to overcome the pandemic, but also in anticipating future problems. Only then we could be confident that sustainable development by combining economic growth, prosperity, and environmental preservation can prevail. Ladies and gentlemen, I am optimistic that this conference will produce useful insight that inspire policy makers to continue collaborating with academics. And I myself, an academic, I am a doctor in political science who really familiar in dealing with data. Therefore, we will be delighted if we can obtain useful data and information, including an ideal collaborative leadership models that can be a lesson for all of us. happy conferencing. Enjoy the city of Bogor, the city of Million Gardens, and I hope all of you will have an unforgettable experience in the city. Enjoy Bogor, and thank you.
We should realize for our future society. Clear. Thank you. Well, I will share my presentation PPT slide. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Well, today's title is Sustainable Business Society. Well, now I promise I will try to, as I say, to entertain all the participants. I love teaching, so today's my speech is likely to be lecture, university lecture. First, quickly, we look at today's contents. First, long-established company in Japan. Second, future of society in Japan. And third, business practice for sustainability, especially sustainability of small, medium-sized enterprises. Well, when I teach something in the classroom, I always give questions to the students. So I'd like to ask several questions to all participants. Well, first one is very simple. But please feel free to answer. Well, which Japanese company do you know? Or what kind of Japanese products have you ever used? Well, an example, Toyota, Honda, everyone must know those car makers. Panasonic, Hitachi, Nintendo, Sony. Well, many of you might love Nintendo and Sony game machine. 7-Eleven. I suppose almost all the people in this event have already used 7-Eleven as a convenience store. Well, those companies are big and world well-known enterprise, but these companies are comparatively young company. Second question is here. Well, anyone can try to answer to me?
Yes, Professor.
Do you know?
The oldest
yes?
Japanese company.
Or how many years ago do you think the oldest company was established in Japan? Anyone? Have you ever heard about anything about Japanese oldest company?
Probably
Well,
Toshiba, probably, Professor?
Oh, yes?
Toshiba?
Toshiba, no, it's very young company. No, it's not. Well, I quickly give you the answer. There you go. The oldest company in Japan.
Probably, Professor? Hitachi?
Oh, yes. Hitachi? No. Well, this is the answer. Kongogumi. This company is located in Osaka. Osaka is the third biggest city in Japan, a business center in Japan. This company was established 578. It's amazing, isn't it? Well, this company, this Kongogumi, is the oldest established company in the world. Kongogumi has constructed many Buddhist temples all over Japan, and nowadays they maintain Buddhist temples all over Japan, which their ancestor built up. So far, do you understand? Well, and this is second oldest company. Oops. Everyone can hear? Okay. Well, this is the second oldest company in Japan, Ikenobo, in Kyoto, was established in 587. This company, Ikenobo, manages flower arrangement class all over Japan. Now this company has even the college in Kyoto to teach flower arrangement. Actually, they now manage flower arrangement class all over the world, not only in Japan. Third oldest company is here. Nishiyama Onsen Keunkaku. This is hotel. This hotel was established in 705. Guinness World Record certified this hot spa hotel, the oldest hotel in the world. I quickly show you next page. The fourth oldest company is Koman. Another hot spa hotel. This hotel was established in 717. Hot Spa Hotel. And the fifth one, Zengoro, another hot spa hotel. This hotel was established 718. And another one, the sixth oldest company, Goido Industry. This company was established 745. This company, Goido Industry, produced foundry casting products. Nowadays, they produce those equipment for the engine of big ships. But actually, this company is famous as the constructor of big Buddha statue in Nara, Todaiji Temple in Nara. The statue was constructed in 752. The height is almost 50 meters. The weight is 250. Well, it's huge size statue. Well, I visited this temple, Todaiji Temple, several times as a school excursion. Well, many Japanese school, elementary school, junior high school, take their student pupils to this temple to show this statue, Buddha statue. And the seventh, Tanaka Iga Butsuku. This company was established in 885. They produce Buddhist altar products. You see, a trust. In Japan, there are 7 companies which were established more than 1,000 years ago. Well, this is one of Japanese society's unique feature, I believe. Here is another question. How many Japanese companies do you think have more than 100, not 1,000, 100 years history? Well, here's the answer. Nationwide Japanese survey counted 40,186 companies older than 100 years as of 31st March this year, 2021. And 40 company, well, it's 1.5% of total Japanese companies. Oh, I'll skip this slide. How about this question? How many Japanese companies celebrate 100 years anniversary this year in 2021? 10, 20, maybe 300, 400, 500? Answer is here. 3,696 companies celebrate their 100 years anniversary this year. For example, Mitsubishi, Komatsu, Telmo, Shimano. Well, those world well-known companies celebrate 100 years anniversary this year. Just for your information, this year, one company celebrate 400 years anniversary. Tennendo, well, this is the name of the company. Tennendo incense producer was established in 1621. Well, here is the last question. What is a key factor or strategy to survive for long run? What is a key? What is a strategy to survive for 100 years, 200 years, even 1,000 years? Well, sociologists sometimes mention Japanese society is like a small box. What is a small box? What does it mean? Geographically, Japan is small island, isolated country. Japanese nation land is comparatively small. It is roughly 1/5 of Indonesia, and only 70% of Japanese land can be used as residential area. On the other hand, Japanese population is 10th biggest volume in the world. Japanese population is slightly over 126 million. So please try to imagine inside the box, crowded people live inside a small box together. Well, please try to imagine yourself. You live inside a box, small box, with a lot of people, packed people. What are you going to do? What are they supposed to do? Do you intend to fight? To expand your space? Maybe fighting each other, killing each other, and try to dominate the whole market inside the box? No, it is not a good idea. Well, apparently, Japanese long-established companies have some particular feature, but today we pick up only 4 of them as their survival strategies. First one is forever good neighbor strategy. It sounds a bit strange for me. Long-established companies have strong intention to keep good relation with stakeholders for long run. Especially, they try to keep long, close relation with their employees. This is key point. Especially, they try to keep long, close relation with their employees. Many of them have lifetime employment system. Their management style could be called employees-friendly management. Well, second strategy is simple, Neighborized strategy. Long-established company is honest. They often disclosed even their inside information. In other words, their transparency is high level. Here, again, and just try to imagine, if we keep high transparency to the others, we can't tell a lie to anyone. And of course, when we are honest, our reputation becomes good. Long-established companies understand without trust and good reputation from community, they can't survive, especially inside the box. Keeping transparency level high is important for survival. Third one is a bit tricky. Quality top, but not expand strategy. Of course, quality of products by long-established company is high. Here, we have to pay attention. Many people misunderstand one business point of view. We easily think if company successfully create high quality products, this company will or must try to increase sales and expand market. However, we have to consider what will happen once the market rapidly expands. If the market is growing widely and rapidly, the competitor appears and market competition itself becomes severe. long-established companies very carefully expand their business. They tend to stay in one particular market or one particular place, and they sell to customers who feel loyalty to their products for generations and generations. Last one, host strategy is another tricky one, sometimes flexible strategy. Many of us might think long-established companies are conservative, very conservative, never change. No, it is not true. Sometimes they become dramatically flexible to respond to social changes for long run. And this is final remarks. Studying on long-established companies is a good way to analyze sustainability of current small and medium-sized enterprises. Also, its study is useful to consider about the sustainable relation between business organization and the community. Well, this is the end of my speech or lecture. Thank you very much. Arigato. Terima kasih.
Arigato gozaimasu, Profesor Iwao Kato. Thank you very much. Terima kasih for the insights about the sustainability, especially for future generations, and the insights about the top oldest company in Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue to the next plenary speaker session, please allow me to read Professor Iwao Kato curriculum vitae. Professor Iwao Kato, born July 8, 1965. Having the address in Tokyo, Japan. Related education, PhD course Economics, Fukuoka University, 1995, concentration of Development Economics. MA Economics, Fukuoka University, Japan, 1991, concentrations of Development Economics and International Economics. BA Economics, Chuo University, Japan, 1989, concentrations of International Economics. Related and respective professional experiences. Professor in 2008 until the present moment in Wako University and Wako Graduate School, Japan. Subjects of teaching, Development Economics, Applied International Economics. Associate Professor from the year of 2003 until 2008, Wako University, Japan. Subject of teaching, Development Economics and International Economics. Associate Professor from the year 2000 until 2003, Chukyo Gakuin University, Japan. Subject of teaching, Regional Economics, International Economics. Full-time lecturer from the year of 1995 until 2000. Naka Kyushu Junior College, Japan. Subject of teaching, International Economics and Asian Economies. Once again, thank you very much, Professor Iwao Kato. Ladies and gentlemen, For the next session, please welcome Professor Jonathan van Mel. Are you with us, Professor Jonathan?
Yes, hello. How are you doing?
We are fine, Professor van Mel. How are you?
I'm doing fine as well. It's really an honor to be part of this great conference. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity to participate in it. So thank you very much for the invitation.
Yes, Professor van Mel, thank you very much for filling the session. And please allow me to open your session with the reading of the curriculum vitae first.
Okay.
Professor Jonathan H. van Mel. Personal description, ambition, to guide schools in internationalizing their programs. This is to prepare students for the demands of the globalizing work field and to keep schools' programs relevant and up to date. Drivenly in any task and clearly communicative and structured work ethic and manner with people across the world. Professor Jonathan van Mel related to the language skills, Dutch, English, French, and German. And for the related activities in Avans University, Breda, the Netherlands, January 2010 until this present moment, as a project leader transition to Brightspace online platform. The Ambassador Avans Ambition 2025, November 2020 until present moment. Manager Intercultural Learning Lab from September 2012 until present moment. Account Manager for the Asian region from July 2015 until present moment. And GIL, Journal of Skills Development, Budapest, Hungary, from August 2020 until present moment. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Jonathan van Mel for presenting the second plenary speaker session. Professor, I'm sorry, we cannot hear your voice yet.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for the introduction, and I will try to share my slides with you. And let's see if that is going to work. Let's see. Just give me 1 second, please. Yeah, okay. Now my slides should be visible. So, good day to you all. And in light of the main topic of this conference, I would like to share with you a brief presentation on a critical decision-making for schools regarding intercultural sensitivity development of our learners, of our students. And I will also make a case for this, why this is so important for the survival of us as humankind in this globalizing world facing so many crises. And in light of this topic, I would like to share a little bit about myself in terms of my background, because I grew up in a multicultural family. I have a sister who was adopted from Indonesia. I have a brother who was adopted from Brazil, and I myself originally was born in Lebanon, so I'm also adopted. And all of us, we grew up in the Netherlands, and we were raised by our parents who are Dutch. And you know something? One thing that has really struck me throughout the years is the fact that even though all of us were adopted as babies, you can really tell that we come from the countries that I highlight here on the slide. So if you meet my sister, for instance, you can tell from the way she communicates, from the way she behaves, that she is from Indonesia. And likewise, if you meet my brother, you can see in the way he acts, it's typical for someone from Brazil. And what that has taught me over the years is that the impact of a culture can be so strong that even if you are born in one culture, but you are then moving to another culture, you still bring things with you from your original culture. And why does that observation matter? Why is that relevant? Well, the last 2 years, it has become noticeable that culture, in part, plays a role in how people across the world respond to the COVID crisis. And of course, there are many other factors that also play a role, but certainly you could say that culture also plays its part here. And I would like to illustrate this by zooming into the European continent, and then specifically to the EU, which has 27 member states, and by briefly comparing people's responses in 3 countries, namely the Netherlands, where I live, Belgium, our southern neighbor, and Spain. Now, let me tell you something about what is currently going on in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands right now, we have a fierce lockdown, which means everything has to close at 5 p.m. and currently we can only go to a supermarket or a drugstore. Other kinds of stores are closed. We cannot go to any restaurant. We cannot even play sports right now. Besides that, as you can see on the top of the slide, we all have to wear face masks, and we should also keep a social distance of 1.5 meters. Now, what is so remarkable is that we have these measures, so we have to stick to these guidelines, but in the Netherlands, people are reluctant to follow these rules. And you can relate our culture in the Netherlands to this reluctance to follow the rules. Because when you grow up as a child in Holland, you actually learn that people are more or less equal, no matter the position that people have. So whether you're a boss or a teacher, whether you're the prime minister, that doesn't really matter. People consider that everyone is more or less equal. So, therefore, people in Holland are not easy in accepting orders that are being given. At the office, for example, you will notice that bosses who are giving commands and say, you have to do this, you have to do that, they will lose their employees because employees will try to either leave their job or undermine the boss's position. In addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, if in the Netherlands people don't wear a face mask, even though you must, then other people will hardly ever say something about that. They will hardly ever say like, oh, you have to wear a face mask, because they know if they make such a remark, they will get a response back as saying, who are you to tell me that? Mind your own business. And yeah, partly this can also be related to our culture, because in Holland we have a very individualistic mindset, because from an early age we learn that we have to take care of ourselves and not necessarily take care of other people. Now, how different is this in Spain? Because in Spain, ladies and gentlemen, you can still visit stores, you can even go to play sports or attend a football match, but you must wear a face mask. That is a very strict rule. And if you walk on the streets and you don't wear a face mask, people will tell you, hey, you must wear a face mask. That is the rule. And people also listen to that. So the reason that in Spain people do tell each other and keep each other responsible for following the rules is because in Spain from an early age you learn that you must also take care of other people and not just of yourself. And the consequence is that people have a more collective mindset, meaning that they know, hey, if I have to wear a face mask, I don't just do it for myself, I also do it for the well-being of others, and that's important. Now, as a final example to compare countries in the EU, I'd like to highlight Belgium. So in Belgium, people are very strict in following the corona measures and in following orders in general. And the reason is that in Belgium there's a much stronger sense of hierarchy. If you are told by a local government in Belgium that you should wear a face mask, well, you better follow those rules. Because if you don't do that, yeah, there will be some consequences and people won't feel sorry for you because they say, hey, these are the rules, this is what the authority tells us, so you better focus on that. And that's because from a young age in Belgium, you really learn to respect authority at school, at the office, and any other place. Now, what these three examples show is that across the world, we can see differences in responses to a global crisis, such as the COVID pandemic, partly because of cultural differences. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is also the case for other global crises. If you look at the different responses on climate change, if you look at the different responses on war, war taking place in certain regions. And at the same time, while we deal with all these different crises, we are also living in a world that is shrinking by the day because of our technological developments that we have made over the past 100 years. And that is why it is possible now, for instance, for me to participate from my room in the Netherlands in this conference organized in Indonesia. Now, Adida compares today's world to a single room where people from all walks of life, all cultures are now face to face with each other. And because of this, Adida points out that we must find ways to cooperate with each other and to also tolerate one another's cultures if we are to survive in this pandemic, for instance, or in facing global climate change. And Adida says, yeah, those two elements, cooperation on the one hand and tolerance on the other hand, they are vital to establish a peaceful context, no matter the context, whether it's at work, at school, or let's say when political leaders meet. So you can imagine that in this context, understanding other cultures and successfully cooperating with people from other cultures is a critical skill to have, especially because the world is changing so fast and globalizing more and more. Now, to cooperate with people from another culture is a major challenge. And it's a major challenge because we behave differently across cultures. And one key ingredient that can help in successfully cooperating is by intercultural sensitivity development. Now, what is intercultural sensitivity? Intercultural sensitivity means that you can recognize relevant cultural differences, so the differences that really matter, and at the same time that you can appreciate those differences constructively, so in a positive way. And along the line of intercultural sensitivity development, there are two opposing views. namely an ethnocentric view and an ethno-relative view. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, an ethnocentric view means that you consider your culture as central to reality, meaning you think that your culture is superior and it is the standard, it is the way all people should be living, should be behaving, and thinking of, okay, this is what is right, this is what is wrong, this is acceptable, this is unacceptable. An ethno-relative view, on the other hand, so the opposite of an ethnocentric view, means that you consider that your culture is just one of the many possible other cultures that are also equal. And in this case, your perspective is, okay, my way of looking at the world is one way, but there are also many other ways and they are equally valid. And here's the intriguing thing. Research across the world shows that by default, people have an ethnocentric perspective. So by default, people in fact believe that everyone should think and act the way they do. And therefore, developing your intercultural sensitivity to an ethno-relative view requires some heavy interventions, because research across the world also shows that simply by traveling abroad or simply having international students in your classroom, that doesn't help to develop your intercultural sensitivity. It doesn't change your perspective to cultural differences, even though many people say that. When they actually conduct the research, they see nothing has changed. So here lies a very critical responsibility for our educational institutes to make a decision on, are we going to develop our learners intercultural sensitivity? Are we going to empower our students so that they can successfully cooperate across cultures and that they can live and function as global citizens, as the global citizens in today's world? Now, if we were to make that decision, how can we then do this? If research shows that you don't automatically develop your intercultural sensitivity simply by going abroad or by meeting people from another country. Well, this is where I would like to share with you some of the findings of my own research that I conducted at the Avans University of Applied Sciences. So in my research, I conducted an experiment with Dutch students to develop their intercultural sensitivity. And the key focus of this experiment was to move away from the idea that there is a single truth. And why did I do that? Because if people tend to believe that their cultural values are the standard, that they are superior to other cultures, then this idea by itself is a kind of a truth, like it is my way or the highway. So the aim was in this research to help our students to get rid of the idea that there is such a thing as a single truth, and from there to develop an ethno-relative perspective. Now, how did we do this? Well, over the course of several months, students, they were given intercultural business cases, and they were working in groups. And each intercultural business case was like a challenge that students had to solve and find solutions to, because the challenge was caused by cultural differences. And the goal was for the students to solve these intercultural business cases all by themselves. And in this process, ladies and gentlemen, the students had to really use their critical thinking skills, their analytical skills, as well as their creative skills to solve the problems. And a key ingredient here was that the students would not get any answers from the teachers to solve the cases. And therefore, students were really challenged to look beyond their own cultural lens and to take the perspective of other cultures and to look through the eyes of someone from Indonesia, to look through the eyes to a situation from someone from Norway or Belgium for that matter. And then they had to find solutions to solve the case. Now, what did my findings show from this experiment? Well, first of all, there was a lot of resistance and a lot of confusion among the students. And why was that there? Well, because you see, students in the Netherlands, as well as in many other countries, by the way, they actually are always looking for certainty. They prefer that teachers give them the answer so that they can just sit and listen, and then they know, okay, if I give this answer on the test, I will pass. Or if I solve the problem in this specific way, I will get a good grade. But to break away from the idea that there is no single truth, that also means that students have to accept the fact that you could have multiple answers to a single question, that you can have multiple solutions to a single problem. And at the beginning, students really found this difficult to deal with. Is it really possible to give more than one correct answer to one question? Is it really possible to come up with more than one solution to solve a problem? And over time, what we noticed is that this confusion and resistance started to disappear. And more students' mindsets became open. And bit by bit, students started to let go of the idea that there is a single truth. And they became more creative. So my research shows that as students became more open-minded, they also started to develop their intercultural sensitivity towards an ethno-relative view. And therefore, in conclusion of this presentation, and what I hope you will remember from this presentation, is that if we want to empower our students for a globalizing world with the many crises that we face today, such as the COVID pandemic, it is critical to have them develop a more open mindset, because then they can start to successfully work together with people across cultures to solve the problems that we face today. And that by itself is a critical component for our survival. And therefore, I would like to conclude this presentation by inviting all of you here to join in the mission of developing our students' intercultural sensitivity through our institutions. And I also welcome any suggestions from you to establish joint projects, because even though we are far away, located in different countries, with all technology that we have today, we can work together, and I'm really looking forward to that. And with this, I would like to conclude the presentation.
Thank you for the presentation, Professor Jonathan van Mel.
Thank you.
Really updating the condition and situation, how we look ourselves and how others look upon us. And also thank you very much for presenting your research, finding intercultural.
My pleasure.
With multiple solutions and alternatives. Hopefully later we would be able to rejoin and coordinate. Thank you again,
that
Professor
would be great.
Jonathan van Mel. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving to the next presentation. Please welcome Professor Zulkifli. Good morning, Professor. Are you with us already? Good morning, Professor Zulkifli.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Professor, loud and clear. How are you today,
Okay,
Professor?
okay, okay. Can I start now?
Yes, please, Professor. The time is yours.
Okay. Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to thank the committee from the ICoGOIA, the 10th ICoGOIA and then 2021 for inviting me as a plenary speaker, and also to the rest of the committee members, and then to the other plenary speaker, Professor Wato, Kato, Professor Jonathan. Very interesting speech. So I beg your pardon because my speech is a little bit more on technicals. So can I start my slide now? Okay. Don't worry too much about the technicalities. The idea of my talk is to tell you that how I'm a mathematician. My area is in operational research, and how I survive my research in engineering faculty. So that's the whole idea, meaning that we as a operational researchers can be at anywhere, any place, and any research if we can really, adapt to the situation. So my first slide here is, my topic today will be on modeling of a fatigue crack growth. So to begin with, I'm from the University of Kebangsaan Malaysia. Okay. Will present to you on the topic of how operational research, especially in statistics, is used to model the phenomena of a fatigue crack, which involve what you call it stochastics, probabilistic natures. Okay, so next please. So as you know, fatigue crack is one of the important phenomena and problems that facing in our real life. It can happen to the automotive vehicle, it can happen to the construction and so on. So in this case, fatigue crack is a process of damage to a component structure. Okay, when you
I'm sorry, Professor.
so the whole thing,
the slide is in a freeze mode.
The whole thing is about fatigue crack. The whole thing is about the fatigue crack is that it involves a very stochastic element. Okay, so in general, we never know when the crack start, and all has to come to a phenomena. We try to model the crack itself, especially the initial crack. So we know that in operational research, there is element of stochastic, probabilistic nature. So that is the use of mathematics or operational research in modeling the fatigue crack growth. Next, please. So in this case, we have to go into the idea of predictions. Okay, we try to predict, especially with respect to the theme of this conference, which is the use of different methods in solving, in decision making. So we try to predict what happened next. When will the crack happen? So this is why this study is very important, so that we are able to predict when the crack will happen. So number two, we have a prognostic analysis. This one is the prediction of future reliability of a product. from the detected and excess deviation of performance, okay? When we have extraordinary harsh condition and so on. And number 3 is on the degradation analysis. Degradation is the production of performance, reliability, and the lifespans, okay? And so on. So next, please. And all topics in fatigue crack involve of uncertainty factors. So our life also involved in uncertainty, you know. So we never know when the run will come. We only predict that from the meteorological station that, you know, for example, in Malaysia now, we have a very bad situation. We have flooding, yeah, with, you know, unstable condition, unstable weather. So all involve probabilistic. So if we can predict, this is the good things about prediction. If you can predict it in advance, then your decision making will be different. Okay, so same thing goes with this fatigue crack, and in this case, the fatigue performance optimized. We need to use the uncertainty. So how do we model the uncertainties? Okay, next, please. So in the fatigue crack growth, we want to explain in terms of process of a failure, why this will fail and so on. The main factor of this is due to load. You know, if you have the pressure and load on the structure, and it will, of course, eventually will produce crack. The same thing goes to human being. So this study also can be applied maybe to the human being. If you've been stressed in your life, so stressed every day and every day, there is one time on the day itself you may crack yourself. See? So similar thing would happen to a human being. So when is the time that that's the maximum stress you can take? So if we can predict from the behavior, initial behavior of a human being, yeah, maybe I can do this research with Professor Jonathan, yeah, because very interesting. Professor Jonathan is doing something on the human side, you know. Maybe if we can develop, we can take this model and we can apply it to the human scenario. We can predict when is the limiting, you know, the maximum stress that one human can take, so that we know the sign before actually stress can happen. Is it? Yeah. Okay. So next one. Okay. I know it's a little bit technical, but I try to convey it in terms of layman terms. Okay. So there are many cracks modeling before this has been done. A lot of things, some of them are deterministic. Yeah, deterministic, and the versus is the probabilistic. That deterministic is, you know, we put some values or we can put some numbers in it. But in the real life, our life is basically mostly people say probabilistic. You never know what would happen next. Yeah. Okay. Next, please. So the importance of fatigue crack is clear, yeah, because it involves the cost. Yeah, if something as crack or fatigue happens, and it will affect the cost of the product, the cost of repairing, and so on. So when we can predict when the crack will happen, it will somehow we have a good decision making and things that we need to do. Same thing with humans. If we know the stress level, to what extent a particular person can take, then we can take straight action. This is something to do with the study of human also. I am also a advocate of NLP, neuro programming, neuro-linguistic programming. So very interesting if we can relate this to this. Okay, the next one, please. Okay, this is somehow I just want to share with you because of this is the relevant to our conference today, because our conference says that the theme is the role of multidisciplinary science in decision making. So in our case, what are the decision making? In my case, the decision making is to predict when the crack will happen and where it will go. By having a good decision making with less error, then we can save a lot of costs, and then cost will involve money, but the most important thing is life. So we can predict what happened to a certain parts in automotive, then we can save life. So the decision making here is very crucial. But for solving this kind of fatigue, we have different methods. Some are using a finite element, and some using linear, minor, cumulative theories, and so on. Next, please. Okay, I hope you will not fall asleep when you hear this talk. So I try to make it, to dilute it as much as possible. So, and then we also have certain methods on machine learning algorithm, and we have hierarchical fuzzy neuroscience, fuzzy things here, and we have a genetic algorithm also. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in this conference, there are about 224 papers. They have gathered 200 papers basically. So one of these papers will have a lot of methods, including the genetic algorithm. So for those who are the advocates of genetic algorithm, maybe this one can open up some few ideas. Okay, next please. Okay, again, there is another, so many methods that try to predict the fatigue, because the principal linear damage accumulation, fuzzy inference system, and then also the most popular one is the finite element analysis approach. Next, please. Okay, I throw you a lot of, researches has been done, yeah, especially in the taboo genetic algorithms, and we have the artificial neural network ANN, yeah, especially for those who are in that areas, and also we have a particle swarm optimizations, especially in the crack growth problems. Next, okay, and we have sequential quadratic programming also been done to study the fatigue, probabilistic predictive nature. My suggestion is that you may use these methods to apply it to the human factors, yeah, especially when I mentioned about how do you want to determine the stress level of the human being. So maybe this model might somehow, who knows, can help to solve this kind of problems. Next. Okay, we have also Carnot law for expansions. We have SN curve, optimization of analysis, and the stochastic model, especially in modeling fatigue crack growth. Yeah. Next. And also we have elite non-dominated sorting differential evolutionary, and then Taguchi robust parametric design techniques also is used. Yeah, Taguchi, yeah, originated from Japanese researcher. Okay, next. Next, please. And then also we have, before this, we have Monte Carlo. Yeah, we have Monte Carlo and so on. Yeah, Monte Carlo and Rajkata. Rajkata is about what we call it approximation methods. Yeah, so we have MAFM model also. Okay, next. So done with the history. Now, what are the things that I've been and my PhD student been doing, researching, is the how Markov chain is used in the model. Okay. Am I, how much time longer do I have? Secretariat?
Yes, Professor, it's about 3 more minutes.
3 more minutes, okay. So I will give a speech in three minutes speed, yeah, okay. So what I'm doing is, I'm using Markov chain model. So you know what is Markov? Markov is very simple. Markov is a Russian mathematician, and what Markov says is that whatever happened today depends on whatever happened yesterday. Yeah. And whatever happened yesterday depends on whatever happened the day before. Very simple idea. We take for granted the idea of Markov, but this is the real things about what is happening in the real life. Today, it is raining. So what is the chances that tomorrow it will rain again? So based on what happened in my place now in Malaysia, and I can see from outside my window, yeah, it's being cloudy. So the probability of raining tomorrow is higher because of the weather today is not really sunny, it's cloudy. So this is a simple idea of Markov, but he put it really nice, meaning that whatever happened has the relationship before and after that. Okay, so next one. So what I do is basically we generate, we only have a few data, 5 data. So, but that is not enough for the crack length. So we have the parts, yeah, and then we press a load on it, and it will we measure the crack length. So based on the crack length, we don't know the length itself, but we just measure it. When it will happen, we also don't know. This is in terms of cycle, how much load that we put. And the problem with this problem is that we want to make a distribution for the crack length. So because of the limited data, we use bootstrap method. So bootstrap, so we come up with a distribution of it. Next, please. So from the bootstrap method, we generate, we come up with a distribution. So there are 3 distributions that are involved in that: normal distribution, yeah, log normal distribution, and variable. So we found out that the log normal distribution is the distribution that fits with that. So and then after that, next please. So we use the Paris law equation to generate the next initial probabilities and the transitional probabilities. Next please. Okay. Yeah, this is the probabilities, and the probabilities are generated through the distribution that we found out. Next, please. Okay, and these are the transition probabilities. How do we calculate it? Yeah, you can come. You can contact me personally if you want. If you're interested to know the numbers and how we get it. Next. Next, please. So we can see that the probability values at the crack length increases, the chances of transition increases proportionally. Next, please. Okay. So and then we have this these Markov properties. Okay. Whatever happen, next one will happen. Will depends on what happened now. Okay. Next, please. Okay. So we use the prediction. With this probability, and we come up with a prediction of the fatigue, where it will happen, and then how much the length of the crack. Next, please. Next, please. Okay. So the results show lifetime prediction has a better result compared to the empirical result. So the study before this did not use any probabilistic measurement or model in the equation. So we find out a way of generating probabilistic data. Okay, next. So in conclusion, we have used, of course, a model in operational research, which is called Markov chain, and we have successfully come up with one method that somehow is a bit accurate in terms of probabilistic phenomena. So with that, I think I'm done with my talk today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentation session. Professor Zulkifli.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the next speaker session, please allow me the curriculum vitae of Professor Dr. Zulkifli Muhammad Nopia. Born June 6, 1968.
Yeah, I'm getting old now.
Yes.
Now they know my age.
Yes, Professor. And related academic qualification, BSc in Mathematics, 1993, University of Minnesota, United States of America. MSc in Operational Research, 1995, University of Southampton, United Kingdom. PhD in Operational Research, 1998, University of Portsmouth, United Kingdom. And related to brief career history, in 1991, as an assistant registrar in UKM. In 1993, a lecturer in UITM. From 2000 until 2019, as a lecturer in the Faculty of Engineering and Built Environment, UKM. And from 2020 until present moment, Head of Engineering Education Department, UKM. And for fields of specialization in risk management, optimization, and operational research and engineering education. And for current research area or topics related to risk management, engineering optimization, and engineering education. Once again, thank you very much for the presentation session, Professor Zulkifli.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the fourth session of speaker, please welcome Professor M. Shafi'i Antonio. Good morning, Professor Antonio. Are you with us already?
Yeah, I'm with you already.
How are you, Professor Antonio?
Hi, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
It is not clear. Okay.
Yes.
From your side, it's not clear, all right? Okay.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the presentation of Professor Antonio, please allow me to read curriculum vitae of Professor Dr. Muhammad Shafi'i Antonio, MEC. Born in Sukabumi, Indonesia, May 12, 1967, graduated from doctoral program Banking and Microfinance from University of Melbourne in 2004, Master of Economic International Islamic University Malaysia in 1992, and BA in Islamic Law from University of Jordan 1990. Conducted visiting research at Al-Azhar University 1991, Harvard University 2012, and visiting scholar in Oxford University 2014. Professor Antonio has been appointed as Sharia Board in numbers of national and global institutions, to include of Islamic Development Bank, Islamic Financial Service Board, Short Asset Management, and Dar at Takaful, Dubai. And Professor Antonio also serves as a member of National Economic Committee of Indonesia and Sharia Development Board of Central Bank of Indonesia. Professor Antonio helps the transformation of more than 17 conventional banks and 7 insurance companies into Islamic operation, and teaches more than 25,000 financial professionals and bankers in Indonesia. Professor Antonio published 45 books in banking, Islamic economics, zakat, leadership and management, and patented several works including Pro-LM model, prophetic leadership, and management wisdom. For his contribution to the field of Islamic economics, Professor Antonio has been awarded several appreciations, to include Sharia Award from Central Bank Indonesia in 2003, Anti-Corruption Award in 2007, Australian Government Award in 2009, Arab Asia Finance Recognition Award in 2008, and nominated for the King Faisal Laureate in 2013 and IDB Prize in 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, please welcome Professor Shafi Antonio.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I have to thank the organizer for inviting me for this distinguished seminar and conference. I have to thank my precious speaker, Professor Jonathan, Professor Iwao, and Professor Zulkifli. Alhamdulillah, I have learned a lot from your presentation, and my turn is now based maybe on my background as a banker as well as the Islamic practitioners in business, and a bit study on Islamic scholarship. So I would like to combine the Islamic tradition on multidisciplinary approach and the wisdom from Al-Quran, particularly to the aspect of environment and sustainable development. So it is quite a mix, maybe quite close to the Professor Jonathan presentation. Okay, so the title of my presentation will be quite different from the previous speaker. It is very much talking about the Al-Quran, the multidisciplinary approach of Al-Quran and messages for sustainable development. I'm sure, particularly for the non-Muslim, it is our opportunity to know a bit regarding Quranic message on sustainable development. And maybe for our friend, I would like to invite you to see the multidisciplinary approach of scientific anticipation in Al-Quran, by which 1/3 of the population of the world already trained to understand the Holy Scriptures based on multidiscipline of science. Okay. Al-Quran is a source of law, wisdom, and values, and its role in decision-making process. So because it is source of law, source of wisdom and values, it has a very strategic position in management science, how to decide the product, how to decide the borrowing, how to decide the marketing process. Because according to Muslim, we have to do all of this change in halal way, okay, according to the principle and teachers of Al-Quran Al-Karim. Okay, if I put Al-Quran as a source of source, according to Muslim, we will see it is a source of law, source of ethic, source of wisdom, source of belief, source of values, also as a guidance for our life, our family life, our business life, our marriage life, and the life after today. So it is also the guidance for dispute settlement. So if we talk about decision making, Al-Quran for a Muslim is very strategic role. If Professor Jonathan talking about the truth and how we recognize other, Al-Quran is the book that we have to be humble with other, then we have to respect other. It is part of our religion. It is part of our Muslim belief. And we have to treat our neighbor as it is part of our family. Okay. And the wisdom, for instance, we cannot have ablution in the running river with excessive number of water, because the wisdom from the Prophet Muhammad SAW, peace be upon him, we have to be economical, even taking ablution in a running water. Let me start with some multidisciplinary science in Al-Quran. Okay. Al-Quran, yes, is not the book of mathematics. Al-Quran is not the book of chemistry. Al-Quran is not the book of biology. Al-Quran is not the book of ethnology. But surprisingly, Al-Quran invites everyone who read it to understand in a multidisciplinary approach. And the one who have a better knowledge in geology will understand more when we pass some verses related to the earth, to the soil, to the contents of sand. Someone very deep knowledge in gynecology, for instance, will have a good understanding on some verses related to the process of the creation of human being. Someone with the knowledge of astronomy will understand why the Almighty God treat differently between sun and the moon, and how is the process of the universe. Okay, so when we read the Quran, it is good we are at a multidisciplinary approach of science. Let I give you some examples. Let's say talking about the microbiology and water, talking about the universe, the Big Bang, the embryology, meteorology, metallurgy, astronomy, volcanology, cosmic science, dermatology, physiology, neuroscience, as well as anthropology. Okay. Talking about microbiology and water, for instance, Allah say, and we made from water every living things. Will they not believe? So according to Islam, water is the source of every living thing. The message is we have to purify the water, and we have to keep water as clean as possible. And then the embryology, it is something interesting. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we created humankind from an extract clay. Then we placed each human as a sperm drop in a secure place. Then develop the cloth into lump of flesh. Then develop the lump into bones. Then clothes and bones, clothes the bone with flesh. Then we brought it into being as a new creation. So the point is, it is the process. From the sperm and the ovum together become embryo, become morula, and growing. So the stages, it is invite everyone who knows about the embryology, about the gynecology, to study further how the stages in line with the modern science. Okay. And then when we talk about meteorology, for instance, and we made the sky a protected sailing, but they from its sign are turning away. So the Al-Quran challenges to us, what is the sailing of atmosphere? Why the UV and other dangerous things cannot come to the earth? What are the protected sailing? What are the protection? So it is invite the scientists to research and to discover on the knowledge about our stratosphere, atmosphere, and exosphere. Okay, so the more we study Al-Quran, the more we have to see the universe. I repeat, the more we study Al-Quran, the more we have to see the universe, because Al-Quran is challenging us, what is the protecting one? Okay. And then when talk about the iron, for instance, وَأَنْزَلَ حَدِيدَ فِيهِ بَأْسٌ شَدِيدٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ, and we send down iron with its greater inherent strength and its many benefits for humankind. So according to some researchers, iron is not natural to the earth. Scientists said billions of years ago, the earth was struck by a meteor. So iron is not part of soil. I repeat, iron is not part of soil. Iron is not part of stone. It is different things. It is not from the earth. It is from outside the earth. And then again, Al-Quran invites us to study this process, how it's come down to the earth. Okay. It is metallurgy, and then the astronomy. And it is He who created the night and the day, and the sun and the moon, all are in orbit, are swimming. Okay, why Quran mentioned the word swimming? Okay, if we see the one who swim, number one, he jump and move. So everyone who swim should move. If he stop, he will sink. Number one. Number two, the one who swims is getting further and further from the starting point. That is the second issue in swimming. So then we have to talk about the expanding universe, about the Hubble and Stephen Hawking maybe. And we will see what is the concept of expanding universe and swimming. Okay, why is not moving? Why is not running, but it is swimming? All right. Regarding the volcano, have we not made the earth and the resting place as a resting place and the mountain as a stage? Okay, if we see the Himalaya, it is only the tip of iceberg, but we will see the roots beneath is very deep down on earth. And we see the Semeru mountain that is erupted today, and other mountain in Malaysia, in Switzerland, and in other places of the world. We will see the tip of the iceberg only some 100 meters on the top of the sea level, but underneath we will see the steppe. So this is the challenge from Al-Quran for geologists to study the volcano. And then when we see the cosmic science, and the heaven we construct with strength, and indeed we are the expander. La musi'un, the word musi'un is getting wider and wider and wider every single time. So when Quran was revealed 15 centuries ago, there was no telescope, there is no satellite, okay, except of Arabia, able to see this phenomenon. How the one who not sit in universities, didn't sit in with any professor, can see something cannot be discovered unless with the sophisticated telescope. So the message should be come from some outside, which is Almighty God. So Stephen Hawking say in his book, A Brief History of Time, the discovery of the universe is expanding was one of the greatest intellectual revolution of the 20th century. So Al-Quran mentioned the universe is expanding. The universe is expanding. And then when you talk about the dermatology, about the skin, okay, we will see the message from the Quran. There is an instrument inside the skin as a receptor, okay, because the one who already burned cannot taste any longer, okay. So it is interesting, the Holy Scripture of Muslim talking about the dermatology, talking about the receptor inside our skin, okay. So by this, we cannot understand the Quran unless we have multidisciplinary science. At least we understand bit from here and bit from there. And the psychology, those who have belief and those whose heart are assured by remembrance of Allah, unquestionably by the remembrance of Allah, heart are assured. It is talking about the peace, talking about the tranquility. When you submit yourself to the Almighty God, you will feel happiness. You will find tranquility. You will feel secure, because happiness is not wealth. Happiness is not money. Happiness is something lies down underneath of our heart. And the one who link his heart to the Creator can get this happiness. In neuroscience, for instance, no, indeed, if he does not stop, he will seize him by the forehead, his lying sinful forehead. So it is talking about the position of neuro inside our brain, the one who managed to say something right, to say something false, and to hide something, or we lie to other people. So Al-Quran talking about the position of mind, and every single part responsible to the thinking process. It is something interesting also in anthropology, okay? When Eurod said to the angels, indeed, I will make you upon the earth a successive authority. They will say, will you place upon it one who causes corruption therein and shed the blood, while we exalt you with praise and declare your perfection. Indeed, I know that which you do not know. But it is talking about the conversation between the angel and the God, and describing the behavior of humanity, the behavior of some people on earth making destruction on earth. And then when we are talking about the oceanology, for instance, it is quite surprising how a man 15 centuries ago able to see that when we go down more than 200 meters below the sea level, dipping to the sea, we cannot see our hand anymore. Okay? It is darkness upon the cloud, upon the out your hand, you can see your own hand. So the position in this level of darkness is for sure more than 100 meters, more than 150 meters, more than 200 meters down the sea. Okay. Can we imagine 15 centuries ago, anyone who can go deep, go to the bottom of the sea without any sophisticated instrument of diving? It is impossible. And it is a challenge for us how to ensure the challenge from multidisciplinary approach of Quran. And then, okay, also regarding the economy, Quran also mentioned about the sharing economy, also the promotion of win-win trade. It is also the moral of decision making. Allah permitted trade and prohibit usury. I think it is the same message in Christianity, the same message in Buddhism, the same message in Hinduism, that we have to promote trade and then we avoid usury. Okay, after having something, we have to share with others in terms of giving and philanthropy. It is the message as well. Okay, now I would like to jump very fast regarding the protection of corruption on earth, as well as the Garden of Paradise we have to preserve, as well as the resting place that we have to make sure that the environment is friendly enough to us. And then we see, okay, it is very interesting. And we made the sky as a protect sailing, but then are turning away from its sign. So when the Almighty God created the earth and its protection, we have to think about how to maintain the ozone layer, how we have to ensure the factory, also the burning of the forest, particularly in Sumatra, in Kalimantan, and some in Amazon forest area, some in African continent, happening, okay? Then human destroy the ozone layer because of their greedy. It is the message of sustainability for sure. And then the blessing from above. Okay, the Almighty God send the water, send the rainy, then we oblige by God to keep it in a good process, and because to make it sustain, the stream, the rain, the river, and the ocean, it is home for so many creatures. So if we destroy the water cycle, we destroy so many living creatures. It is the last one. Verily, all things were made created in proportion and measure. So everything is a good proportion and a good measure. We are the one who destroy it. We are the one who polluted it. And The human are the one who are responsible on earth. Remember, when you said to angel, I am going to place the successive human authority on earth. So by this, I have to conclude that we are the one who are responsible for the sustainability of development and sustainability of the process. Sustainable development, according to Quran, we have to believe in God, believe in the day of judgment, because every single thing we are doing today will be asked for responsibility. Al-Quran also the source of value, the source of ethics, to avoid waste and also not involved in destruction process, as well as the spirit of inheritance to the next generation. So if we go hand by hand together with other believers in Christianity, in Hinduism and Buddhism, and any other religion, we bring together the wisdom from our holy scripture, we can ensure that this value, this ethic, this belief of the day of judgment will contribute significantly to avoid waste, will contribute significantly to not involve in destruction process, and we will leave this earth to the next generation peacefully. Thank you very much for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for the presentation, Professor Dr. Shaifi Antonio. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now entering discussion session and limited only 10 to 15 minutes. And if there are any questions, please raise your hand through online. And if you have any questions related to the presenters or the materials, please state your names clearly and the institution that you are entitled to. Ladies and gentlemen, please. If there are any questions related to plenary speaker session from Professor Iwao Kato, from Professor Jonathan Van Mel, from Professor Zulkifli, and from Professor Shafi Antonio. Ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions, just please raise your hand, state your name and the institution you are related to. And well, there are no questions. Ladies and gentlemen, with the end of the plenary speaker session, we are now entering break time until 1 p.m. Western Indonesian local time. And we would like to inform you, please rejoin the afternoon session starting at 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. with the designated parallel session through breakout rooms from room number 1 until room number 19, provided also with moderators in each room. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending this first morning session.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Iwao Kato, Professor Jonathan, and Cik Zulkifli. Terima kasih. Very interesting presentation.
Terima kasih banyak.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all plenary speakers.
Okay.
Professor Iwao Kato, thank you.
I visit UKM many time, Prof. Zulkifli.
Yeah, Prof. Zulkifli. Inshallah. Kita main-main, tak?
I'm glad they invited me, and I'm very interested in your talk because your talk is more like an NLP. neuro-linguistic programming.
Sorry?
Yeah.
I'm very interested with Prof. Shafi'i talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, we will discuss later, Dr. Shafi'i.
Ya, terima kasih.
Okay.
Okay, selamat dari Banjir.
Okay, all. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Nanti kita jumpa lagi ya.
Jonathan Famil, Mr. Jonathan Famil.
Ya, siap.
Thank you very much again. Thank you.
Oke.
Thank you.
Arigato. Gozaimasu.
Arigato.
Terima kasih. Arigato gozaimasu. Terima kasih Pak Sofi. Pak Ustadz. Terima kasih Pak Ustadz.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Jonathan.
Okay, nice to meet you again.
Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.